Pokemon Legends ZA is Pokemon's most unique title to date, taking it in a new direction using real-time combat for the first time in its 30-year lifespan. We are welcome back to the Kalos region, or in this case, Lumio City. When they showed this during the Pokemon Presents last year, I was excited. Battles finally looked like the anime. Trainers sending out their Pokemon, dodging attacks, moving around the field, it felt alive. The trailers and shorts released to promote the game also sold me on how the game operated and how much better it looked than Scarlet and Violet. Some fans hated the idea of losing the traditional turn-based combat that Pokemon is known for, but for me, I was ready for something new. The Switch era of Pokemon games made turn-based battles feel boring and tiring, and I would literally fall asleep during battles in these games. So for me, Pokemon Legends EA's real-time system felt fresh and allowed for a fun and dynamic way to enjoy Pokemon battles once again. And let me tell you something, if Legends Arceus was about catching Pokemon, then Legends ZA is absolutely about battling. One of the biggest highlights in this game is the ZA Royale, a nighttime free-for-all tournament in Lumio City. This is where the real-time combat shines the most. Your goal is to climb the ranks and become the strongest Mega Evolution trainer. Using the new real-time combat system is a learning curve, but one that won't be too difficult to understand after your first few battles. It took me a while though because I had been playing Digimon beforehand. By the way, go check out that video. And had to remember that the button layout was different on the Switch controller, so I almost lost my first battle. This is my fault, this is my fault, this is my fault. This is my fault. This is my fault. You gotta run, though. You gotta run, dude. You gotta run, buddy. Come on. Come on. Run. Oh my god. Get up. Woo. Oh my god. Okay, I see what happens. Yeah, give me a break. Digimon and Pokemon came out in the same month and I was playing these back to back. But once I readjusted myself, I was winning battle after battle. I really enjoyed how battles feel this time, like there are higher stakes to them because now it's up to you to move around and help your Pokemon dodge or perfectly time a move to attack or defend. I could spend hours battling in this game. That's how fun it is, but battling made it more fun with a return mechanic. That's right, baby! Mega Evolution is back! After its decade-long hiatus, we finally got it back in a new way. You can now have more than one Mega Evolved Pokemon on your team. This does not mean that all 6 of them are Mega Evolved at the same time, that would be overkill. But when one Pokemon returns back to its original form, you can Mega Evolve another Pokemon. Meaning a Pokemon that can Mega Evolve can remain Mega Evolved after a battle is done and will be on a timer to revert back. The new Mega Evolutions themselves are either a hit or a miss. Mega Hawlucha, Mega Victreeville, and even Mega Dragonite are really good Mega Evolution designs that feel like it could be a natural evolution to their line. And then you have the drastic looking ones like Mega Skarmory who turn all golden. And then you have the ones that have you questioning what happened in the concept art. I love Feraligatr as a water starter Pokemon, my favorite from the Johto region. But when I saw his Mega Evolution, I thought my game glitched or something because it looked the same, just with a giant red shell on its back. I was not that fond of its Mega Evolution because I had seen concept fan art of what potential Mega Feraligatrs could look like, and they look way better than what we got. But I can tolerate Feraligatr's new Mega even if it does look like a giant Totodile when it closes the shell. What I don't tolerate is Mega Starmie being called a Mega Evolution. Who the fuck authorized this? This Mega took the cake for the stupidest design I've ever seen. This is not a Mega. This is lazy ass work that somehow slipped through the crack and was accepted as a good design. All they did was stretch his legs. That's it. Not an ounce of creativity went into this design. No design change to make it look different, no color change, nothing. It's literally the same Pokemon. But at least we still got a good batch of Mega designs and I will stick to that and ignore that this one exists. Rogue Mega Evolution is introduced in this game as the new noble Pokemon bosses that we first saw in Legends Arceus. I won't lie, these Rogue Megas will keep you on your toes because for the majority of the battles they will unleash all kinds of attacks just wanting to eliminate you. A lot of attack and retreat is a technique I went with and so much dodge rolling because the Pokemon, whether it is rogue or not, will always be targeting you, not your Pokemon. This is also the method on how to get some of the new Mega Stones for the new Mega Pokemon introduced in this game, and it's a good reward if you want to instantly add them to your team. Putting megas aside though, the main thing that drew me was the new way to battle. It's the most dynamic Pokemon battles have ever been, and I personally hope they implement this new way of battling into future games, or at least keep it for the Legend series. But the ambition doesn't always match the execution, and here is why. The wild zones introduced in this game are going to be how you catch your wild Pokemon. And I say wild with quotations because it feels less like natural habitats and more like a giant zoo with more and more of them being added as you progress in the game. Each zone has a variety of Pokemon, but only a few show different habitats, so to speak. Like, how the hell do you have snow in this area? This isn't an enclosed space. These are literal holographic gates that you can run your hand through, but also you can't because you treat it as an actual gate when you enter or leave the wild zones. But in these wild zones you have regular Pokemon and Alpha Pokemon. Alpha Pokemon are also back in this game after the introduction in Legends Arceus. But the interaction doesn't hit the same like in those games. Don't get me wrong, the Alpha Pokemon in ZA mean business. They will chase you down relentlessly. But what I mean that it doesn't hit the same is how this feels like there is a safety net during these encounters. You can exit the zone and be okay. In Legends Arceus, when you encountered an Alpha, it was life or death. There was no safety net, it was kill or be killed, and the environment helped with selling the danger of the Alphas. But I get it, that game was meant to convey the uncertainty of Pokemon during that time period. But if they were brought back for this game, it should feel like there's no escape to some degree. Outside the zones, however, you'll see Pokemon on rooftops and trees flying around, and yes, they're catchable, but the world still feels strangely empty. Rooftops especially feel like they were meant to have more to them, but instead you just find idle Pokemon or Pokemon walking in circles. It feels like the Pokemon are just there waiting to be caught by the trainer. Here and there you will see some expressions from the Pokemon, but nothing too animated, especially not how they are shown in Pokemon Snap. Now that was how I always saw Pokemon in the wild. Speaking of rooftops, there is absolutely no creative way to traverse between them. Instead, you are only allowed to use the same old boring Rotom phone for the 4th time in a row. There is scaffold throughout the city that you can use to get up to the top of the buildings, but that acts more as an American Ninja Warrior way to get onto the roofs. This was not that bad and was actually kind of fun as it felt like a kid-friendly parkour, but I do wish there was a much more faster method to get onto the rooftops. Like summoning your own Pokemon and flying high. But of course, not even that was present as ride Pokemon have been completely removed. I'm sad that they didn't keep the Go-Go ride mechanic, especially since this was the first ride feature we ever saw in a main series Pokemon game. Not even the damn rollerblades made the cut. The only way to get around Lumiose City is legit walking, running, and rolling. This was already a bad start for me, and it's only the beginning. The game also doesn't sell the idea of humans and Pokemon coexisting. Quasarticle Inc. is the new big organization in this game, in charge of the redevelopment plan for Lumiose City. Quasarticle's mission is to have Lumiose be a place where Pokemon and people can coexist in the same space. You see some of this vision with NPCs walking with their Pokemon and having them at their side, but the vision that I saw and what I thought Quasarticle also meant was seeing Pokemon actually roaming around freely, like how they are depicted in the anime and movies, not walking into the Safari Zone from Gen 1. Pokemon feel restricted to designated areas in Lumiose, making it feel like a glorified petting zoo. Even so, Lumiose City is grand, and it holds elegance. From a distance, Lumiose City looks beautiful, especially since I got to play it on my Switch too. The upscale on the graphics and increased frame rate made everything stand out and look more impressive than what we got from Scarlet and Violet. The way ZA looks feels like they took elements from Legends Arceus and Scarlet and Violet and mixed it together to give us the best of both worlds. The Pokemon look real without it looking too real, and keep that cartoon charm. And I hope they stay with this style because it suits them well for modern Pokemon games. That's what I will say looks good about the game, but now let's move on to the negatives. You start to see the potential of what could have been the best Pokemon game before Gen 10 once you take a look at the buildings all over the city. The balconies and windows are literally JPEG images, like stickers from a Lego set that you slap on. Buildings look flat when you stand next to them, and this wouldn't completely take me out of the experience, but when I would stand around, you can see it clear as day that something didn't look right. But then you step inside the few accessible areas such as buildings and the sewers and suddenly it's a different game. The sewer section had me doing a double take when I first saw it because I swear I thought I was playing Final Fantasy VII Remake again. The wet texture gave the sewer that nasty, gross appearance that sewers have, and it made it feel like there could be danger from how dark it was with the Noibats flying around and Ghastlies attacking you. Lysander Labs, sorry a bit of spoilers, has this dark and ominous feeling straight up. You get to revisit the lab from X and Y in further detail, and it does feel like it can turn into a horror game at any point, because the detail in this place brings the environment to life. That and the fact that there was a fucking Noibern hanging upside down threw me off so bad. It was the first time I was ever afraid of a Pokemon encounter. Hotel Z also looks gorgeous on the inside, with amazing attention to detail. From the plants that sit on tables and the lights hanging on the walls to the texture of the curtains and floorboards in your room. Even the meeting room had a lot of detail, and I really liked the reflective texture that the Team MZ logo had. The amount of detail in the interior locations feels like you're playing on a PlayStation 4 Pro or PlayStation 5, especially with how the Switch 2 handles graphics and frame rates better than its predecessor, and it looks really good. Remember how I said that the buildings being flat looked a bit unappealing because of the lack of physical balconies and windows? Well, Hotel Z actually has fully rendered 3D balconies. This shit caught me so off guard when I first noticed because it was late into the game that I realized I had them, since I automatically assumed every building had stickers as windows. I'm going to assume Game Freak didn't do it for the rest of the buildings to avoid performance issues, especially for Switch 1, since it came out on both consoles. But it sucks when they have to do this because I'm sure it's not Game Freak doing it of their own volition, but the big heads like the Pokémon Company and Nintendo themselves, telling them to cut corners to meet shareholder demands. But I have a feeling we will see what Game Freak can really cook this year, and I'm not talking Pokemon. Moving on to the music, Pokemon has always been known for its soundtracks, iconic themes that are instantly recognizable, but the soundtrack for ZA didn't leave much of an impression on me. Aside from a few new themes like the Rogue Mega Evolution theme or Kerbeau's theme, for the most part it's mostly remade X and Y themes. It was nice hearing the boutique theme again, and I had that playing on loop when I wasn't playing the game. The Wild Battle theme and Zygarde's theme was also enjoyable to listen to again, especially with Zygarde's theme getting a revamp making it unique to it. And since this time the setting is set in Lumio City, the music doesn't do much to add to the atmosphere, but use the same tracks over and over. One of the new themes that did make me boogie down was Jacinta's theme. It has this 1920s electro swing vibe that caught me completely off guard when I first listened to it, and it suits Jacinta and her 1% club really well. Leave it to Pokemon to create such unique pieces of music in every game they make. You will always walk out enjoying one or two tracks or the whole soundtrack. ZA introduces several great quality of life improvements, such as auto heal from the Pokemon menu and move swapping without losing old moves. This feature also comes back from Gen 9, and I was happy that it got carried over to Legend ZA. Reusable TMs also return after having to craft them in Scarlet and Violet, and I prefer the TMs to be reusable over having to look for another one or craft them, especially when you need to quickly teach your Pokemon moves for better coverage in this game. Pokeball recycling via the ball guy was a nice added feature and something I didn't know I needed until I witnessed it. I found it convenient knowing that Pokeballs that get thrown and missed end up being picked up by this guy, because that's a curiosity I have always had about what happens to a Pokeball when it doesn't land. Saves me time and money though, of having to buy more, and because most of my money went straight to customizing my character. For the most part, the customization in this game is peak. After the letdown that we got in the previous title, I'm extremely glad we got it back to the main way we know it to be. This was the other half of the reason I got this game. For the customization, because it gave us the most range and freedom when it came to dripping out our character. I spent hours dressing my character, and always running back to the shops after I finished a ZA Royale. Most of the money went straight to clothes. No regrets at all. Dyeing your hair took another step forward in this game as well, where you can now add highlights giving you dual colors. And as Deadpool put it,
it's a summer balayage from the French.
Adding accessories also took a step forward. Nothing too crazy though, but allowing earrings and headbands was a nice addition, and best of all, the mix and match of clothing pieces for the first time was the icing on the cake. You could combine any attire that you wanted however you wanted. The mixing and matching allowed for infinite amounts of looks for the players, and it always felt like you would discover some new way to style yourself. I'm glad customization didn't feel restricted or bland this time. After all, Gen 6 is where it was first introduced, and it would have been a shame to not see it return in its full capacity. Moving on to the story. There's no traditional villain this time. The story mainly focuses on advancing through the ZA Royale ranks to prove you are the strongest trainer to help Quasarticle's mission of preventing rogue megas from running wild all over the city, as well as uncovering the mystery of why the Lumios Tower emits the mega energy. Jet, president of Quasarticle Inc., barely showed up in the game. It was mostly Vinny who made the occasional appearance on behalf of Jet and Quasarticle, updating our rival of locations of rogue megas. Our rival changes depending on the protagonist character that we picked in the beginning of the game. If we choose male, we get Tawny, and if we choose female, we get Urbane. I got Tawny as my rival. From the very beginning of the game, she gave off big sister vibes, with her being the leader of Team MZ and being extroverted to ask a random stranger, us, to be part of a promotional video for Hotel Z. Lita and Naveen are also members of Team MZ, and each have their own personality, with Lita wanting to be a professional dancer, and Naveen aspiring to be a top fashion designer. All three of them show up frequently throughout the story, so you do build a connection with them. And then you have characters that don't show up as much, but definitely left an impression. Corbeau is one badass motherfucker, showing up as the leader of the Russ Syndicate, a mafia that is serious about their loans, but even more serious about forcing you to provide community service. Corbeau is definitely a new standout character for the franchise, and as you get to interact with him more, you start to see that he is more interesting than just his appearance, but I will leave it ambiguous. I spoke of Jacint's theme earlier, and how that track hooked me when I heard it, but I didn't speak on Jacint herself. She is quite a unique character, where she is the head of a very wealthy club and can be annoying because all she obsesses about is her tournament. She will give you a hand at times, but only to meet her agenda of wanting you and your rival to show up at the tournament. Her character design and personality gave me Ariana Grande as Glinda vibes because of how fairy-like she spoke, or what the dialogue box says she spoke, and how she carried herself. But it's fitting to her as she is a fairy type user. There are many more new characters introduced, like Canary, who is a take on your average streamer, and Ivor, who is a long-lost cousin of All Might. There are returning characters as well, including Emma as the new detective of the Looker Bureau, after Looker left her in charge in X and Y, Mabel as a new professor of the research lab, AZ as the owner of Hotel Z, and once again, Lysander is back, or L, as he is now going by. Definitely took that L 5 years ago after your little fiasco. But to my surprise, Clement, Bonnie, and Professor Sycamore were nowhere to be found. I was waiting on them to make a cameo. This is their city, and not a single sight of them were mentioned. At least none that I remember. I would have even taken Blue as a cameo, considering he studied there at some point. So many questions are left, like, why is Mabel running the lab, and where did Sycamore go? Why is Lumio's tower no longer a gym, and why did Clement not stick around to witness the events of the game? Where did he and Bonnie go? Why are the walls so high? Why don't we have access outside the walls? It's giving off Attack on Titan energy. So many unanswered questions. There are also plenty of side missions in this game. Some that get you really good things early on, including Pokémon, but as you progress through the story, the side missions start to feel repetitive and stale. You will have side missions where you have to fix or battle Pokémon to stay away from a Hollow Vader, or battle trainers for the 100th time to prove that their battle techniques work. There is over 100 side missions, but after a while they don't amount to much and start to feel like a chore. The best part? They don't really limit the story progression, and is not essential to the story, unlike a certain Digimon game that came out earlier this year. And once again I go back to the visuals of this game, but this time for the cutscenes and the way that the characters move. The cutscenes felt like watching a 3D anime, with how smooth they walked and the facial expressions they had. It felt like it was done with motion capture, but I'm pretty sure it's just animated. I would have said how they talked, but we all know Pokemon is refusing to give us this for some reason. I mean, look at their mouths moving. They clearly have dialogue that they are meant to be saying out loud. Instead, we get a silent picture movie with subtitles and text boxes that doesn't feel natural because we know what is missing to complete the scenes. I have hope that for Gen 10, they will pull out all the stops and give us voice acting because, dude, we've had this problem since Generation 8. We need voice acting badly. Overall, Pokemon Legends ZA was the most anticipated game of 2025, and with the radio silence that was given to us for an entire year, yeah, this game had to live up to the hype. So, did it? Well, it definitely is a pleasant experience for the average player. This new entry is genuinely a fun experience. you will have fun with it. It has charm, a fresh battle system, and some great ideas that could have been executed better, and new characters that will definitely become fan favorites. But for a hardcore Pokemon fan like myself, it was a mixed bag of emotions, I won't lie. But if I had to describe this game, it would be that it feels like a good appetizer before the main course. Something to hold us over until Gen 10. So I'm not losing out all hope for this year's 30th anniversary. Please Pokemon, it's been 30 years, man. Give us something good to eat. I'm starving. Your entire community is starving. Please let those leaks be real. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you made it until the end, thank you. I hope it was entertaining and informative enough that it made you miss your exit while driving, or overcook your chicken because you were busy watching this video. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I got more coming your way. Until next time.